It's a very corny path then, and very indicative of the time and place and music that I grew up in and around. And that, when I was a kid, this would be, and I mean really young kid, sort of late 60s and then into the 70s, the god of my existence was Bob Dylan. Because for all sort of smart-ish kids of that time, that's who you cleaved to if you weren't a Beatles fan. The Rolling Stones were just to dance to. And if you listen to those songs, and if you sort of paid any attention to the references, he then made reference to this poet or that poet, whether it was a contemporary like Allen Ginsberg or somebody like Rimbaud, and then you would go out and buy these books and try to make sense of them because they meant something to him. And then after you got over the star worship of merely that guy, you started to read. It had nothing to do with school. It had nothing to do with anything other than this path in. That's how it started with me. I was not a particularly religiously oriented kid, despite my parents' best efforts. And the other writer, the other really serious writer that meant everything to me and means a lot to me to this day is Philip Roth. Also, you know, Philip Roth would have been my father had Philip Roth not been a literary intellectual, but rather an orthodontist in North Jersey. Do you see? I mean, he would have moved from Newark and found his way toward Bergen County. It depends on what age. I suppose as an adolescent, alas, Portnoy would. But I think that in his 60s and 70s, he becomes an even stronger writer, a wilder writer, a more serious, a writer at a different height. And this begins for me with The Counterlife, and then Sabbath Theater, and then these American trilogy novels that everybody knows well. Every single one of them is not as good as the other, but it comprises a kind of latent life peak that usually is not possible. Most writers, most artists have, if they're lucky, 10, 15 years of peak creative experience. Roth had that already, and then against all odds, he had something else. It's very, very rare. Usually, what happens is that writers or artists late in life can't match the profundity with the physical and mental energy that it's required to make use of that. And so somebody like Verdi or Rembrandt or Titian is the exception, not the rule.